Today's episode is brought to you by Audible. Get a free audiobook download and 30-day free trial at audibletrial.com/HadokenDebt. They've got over 180,000 titles to choose from for your iPhone, Android, Kindle, and even if you're still rocking the old MP3 player. So if you've got a long commute to DC or wherever you work, or you're trying to get through an exercise program for the day, or you're going on a long road trip, then get an audiobook. It's a no-brainer. And that way, you can tell people, you can slyly slide in a conversation, oh, I read that book, but little do they know it was an audiobook. But it doesn't matter because you enjoyed yourself and you got the content and it was just a fun time. So it doesn't matter. So go to audibletrial.com/HadokenDebt for your free trial and free audiobook. Yeah.
And the problem is, you work hard for your money every single week, and you could treat yourself every single weekend.
Yeah.
But if you continue to do that, you're going to have to continue to work hard for your money.
Yeah.
And the whole idea is you do work way too hard for your money to be throwing it away on stuff that doesn't last. And so that's where we can get to. It's like, yes, you work hard. Do you ever want to be able to stop working hard? Then continue to work hard and put more away than you spend.
Yeah.
And buy your freedom.
It is funny though. Everybody's like, I work hard for my money. It's like, yeah, we all do.
Yeah.
Shut up.
Right.
And I will say, at my last job, I didn't work hard. I'm just going to say that. I did not work hard for my money.
But you still felt the need to reward yourself.
But I still felt the need to reward myself. Mm-hmm. So it's like maybe there's 4 hours of work every day, and the other, whatever.
Was spent on YouTube.
Yeah. Facebook or socializing. So no, people think they work hard. Mm-hmm. Sometimes, not really. No, you don't.
So the discipline is work hard for your money, put in a solid 15 to 20 years, and be able to retire early, or work hard for your money, reward yourself every weekend, and continue to go to that job and work hard for your money for the next 30 to 40 to 50 years.
Yeah.
So
it doesn't sound fun.
Right.
Like it never ends.
Mm-hmm. And so that's the opportunity cost. That's the way we move from the I can't afford this, so I should buy it for myself, to yes, I can afford this, but what am I giving up instead? And so if you looked at a purchase, $300 purchase or something, and actually calculated out what that could be 30 years from now, if you were to put that same $300 into a mutual fund or into your retirement, and find out that $300 turns into 1 month less of work that you have to put in at the end, then it would be like, so you mean if I did this for $3,000, that's a whole year that I don't have to work at the end?
Yeah.
I don't know what the actual calculation would be, and that's dependent on what you make. But that's the way that you can start to look at it.
That's how I looked at it when I worked at Taco Bell the second time around. Like when we were getting out of debt and we would want to go out to eat, and I'd be like, well, it'll be like $45 to go out to eat. That's an extra day, 8 hours, two nights of working at Taco Bell. I don't want that, so let's not go out to eat.
And it was easy for you to see that because that was a second job that you only had for a specific reason. You didn't have that job so that you could fund your dining out budget.
Right.
You had that job so that you could pay off credit cards. And the problem is with our primary jobs, we think, oh, well, I always have to have a primary job. Instead of thinking, no, this primary job has one reason and one reason only too.
Right.
Financial independence, so that I can pay off the need to depend on anybody else for the rest of my life.
And also,
and if we looked at it like that and said, I have this goal, and as soon as I can chip together $750,000, I can say, suck it, I'm out of here. Then we would work so much harder towards that.
And also, it was like I was at Taco Bell at that second job because I ate out. You know?
Yeah.
That was the reason I was there.
Eating
because
out created the credit card
Yes.
debt. And then you add interest on top of that.
Yeah.
And now you're having to work twice as hard.
Right.
$200 to pay off a $100 meal.
Yeah. So I was like, we need to stop.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I think that's the mentality, because we get it in our head that you always have to work. And so that breaks us from the opportunity cost of I don't always have to work.
Right.
You know, a meal costs $50 and I make $50 an hour. Well, then that's an hour of my time.
Right.
It's an hour of your time today, but that hour of your time today turns into 3 or 4 hours 30 years from now.
Right.
And so if we start to look at it that way, we're just like, why would I ever do anything ever again? I want to retire in the next year and a half. So I'm going to live off of $20 a month.
Would you say you're retired now?
No, not entirely.
Okay.
I'm living a life that I can enjoy right
Yeah.
now, and that's tolerable. And I wouldn't say that it's retired, though, just because there are things that I don't know, because I guess retired people still have financial concerns and worries and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So, and even millionaires and billionaires still worry about collapsing markets and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So,
And yeah.
but no, I wouldn't say I'm retired now. I couldn't take 3 months off and travel the world. I'd have to work, or I'd have to find somebody to pay to take over my work for those 3 months.
Gotcha.
So, I have a friend who, her and her husband call their retirement fund their drop dead fund.
Mm-hmm.
And it's basically like, if we ever get to the point where the world just pisses us off so much that we're out of here,
Yeah.
they can just say drop dead
Yeah.
and go live wherever they want to live and never have to worry about it.
That's awesome.
So that's that ideal of what retirement would be. But am I working 60 hours a week right now? No, not even close to it.
Right.
So
Neither am I.
my retirement or my active work life is a lot less stressful than some people's retirements are,
Right.
because that's the way I've designed it so far.
Right.
So, but no, I mean, that's why I want to pay off my house. That's why I want to, get to not $1 million, like $1 million is going to solve anything, but that's why I want to get significant savings saved up in the next 10 years or more,
Yeah.
slightly more.
Because you use Betterment, you said? Yeah. I'm going to check into them.
Mm-hmm.
Try them out and see.
Yeah, they automate everything, so I just send them money and they do all the rebalancing and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, cool.
So I tell them, what percentage. I can guide what percentage I want, but they have different portfolios that have recommended amounts.
Okay.
And they'll take care of all that. So I really like them so far. My financial advisor, Melissa, turned me on to them.
Mm-hmm.
Moved all my stuff over there from Vanguard. The only downside is they only do retirement accounts. So, like, my emergency savings is still in a mutual fund at Vanguard.
Oh, gotcha.
So I still had to keep it separate.
Okay.
So, one thing we're doing, though, to create options. So I looked into this past week, and that's who I was on the phone with this morning when we were watching the movie.
Mm-hmm.
We're looking into refinancing our house and getting a 15-year mortgage at a much lower percentage rate.
That's good.
So we've talked about it before, how your interest on your house is only like $40,000 or something over 15 years.
Yeah.
So I've looked into it. Ours is a 30-year mortgage at 4.875.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to refinance it to a 15-year mortgage at about 3.
3, okay.
And so it'll cut off 7 years off the existing mortgage, because I think we're like 8 years into 30 right now.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's going to cut, the interest is going to go from $175,000 total down to about $100,000 combined.
That's awesome.
Because we've already paid in like 52,
Yeah.
and the new one's going to be about 40,
Wow.
44, 46.
So it pretty much shaves off $100,000.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And one of the cool things, talking about this with Melissa this week, one of the cool things that makes it a no-brainer is our accelerated mortgage payment plan, which we still want to stick to, has us saving about $80,000 in interest, and it's the exact same interest savings that we would get from stopping the accelerated mortgage payment and refinancing the loan right now.
Oh, gotcha.
So It's like we could bust our butts and pay off the house by 40 and only pay $100,000 in interest, or we could refinance today, have a doable monthly payment for the next 15 years, and still end up paying the same amount.
Same amount, yeah.
And now
That's
with the new one, if we accelerate the mortgage payment like we're still planning, we'll end up saving about $17,000 more. So
wow,
it's even, it's still incentive for us to give it a try.
When would the house be paid off if you do it? If you do the mortgage and the refi and your accelerated?
About 3 or 4 months faster than it would be if we didn't refinance.
Oh, okay.
So it'll save us about $17,000, which ends up being like 3 or 4 months on the back end loan. But we'd still have it paid off by around 40 if we accelerated it. If we don't accelerate it and just take the 15-year today, it'll be paid off by 47.
Okay.
So
yeah, we'll be done with our house when I'm 46. So 11 years.
Yeah. So I still want to accelerate it, and we still stayed on track, paying off $20 extra each month on top of each other. But the thing that appeals to me is if we ever had to stop that, or if we ever couldn't continue it, at least we're locking in.
There's a force to make you do that.
We're locking in basically that we've saved $75,000 in interest. If we stopped today with our 30-year and didn't pay anything else on it in advance, we'd end up paying $175,000 in interest. If I refinanced today and we stopped, we'd end up paying about $100,000. So I'm locking in that savings because, it's been 6 years since we got our loan on the house.
Yeah.
So the interest rates come down 1.875% in that time.
Yeah.
So that's what we're looking to do.
Sweet, man.
Still on track to continue paying it off, but like I said, by the time we get to that end, those last few payments, we're putting an extra $1,800 towards the mortgage each month. So that's $3,000 monthly payment. So I want to be at that point by the time I'm 40. But if we're not, we're still at least saving the interest.
Right.
So
I'm glad we did a 15-year because I was almost gonna do a 30-year and then pay it off like a 15-year.
Yeah.
But I know myself, I'd be like, well, I got that extra money. I don't have to pay them extra this month.
Yeah.
Just how it is.
I mean, the past 8 years, we haven't been in that position where we could have voluntarily thrown an extra $400 at the mortgage.
Right.
So it took us 8 years to get to that point. Now the 15-year though is so attainable. Because we've been increasing our payment $20 a month, it ends up being about the same as what we're putting in right now anyways. So we couldn't have afforded the 15-year 8 years ago.
Yeah.
It would have been too high for us.
Yeah.
And now, because we've already paid off $25,000 on our mortgage and the lower interest rate, it's only $150 more than we're paying right now. So if I were to get a 30-year today, this is crazy. If I were to get a 30-year mortgage today with a 3.2 interest rate or something like that, our monthly payment would have only been like $750 or something.
It's a nice number, but 30 years though.
It's $375 less each month that I could have if I just kick the payment out stop the 8 years of progress that we've made and kick it out another 8 years at the end. So
yeah,
but I'll still pay it. Like
yeah.
It's a 15.
Yeah. Sure you will. Yeah. I believe in you.
I looked at that, and the amount that we would save if we refinance today at a 30-year would be like $1,500 because we'd lose all the progress that we've made in the past 8 years, all the interest we've paid. And that's what happens to people is, they pay the upfront 8 to 10 years that you live in a house is almost all interest anyways.
Yeah.
And then by that time, people move.
Yeah.
And they paid off not even a tenth of the equity of what they owe on the house anyways.
Yeah.
And now they go and get another 30-year mortgage.
Yeah. It started all over again.
Yep. And that's why we don't make any progress.
Right.
But anyways.
Well, yeah. How do we get to that? Freedom?
I don't know. But back to it. I mean, that's options. So.
Okay.
Sure. That's how we got back to it.
Yeah.
It's more options for us. So locking us into a 15-year, automatically, like I said, cuts 7 years off the end and saves us $75,000 from where we were. So The closing costs are going to be about $2,000 right now to make that change to save $75. That's a no-brainer. So
awesome,
and it creates options for us. So for me, not having a house payment is one of those big.
That's what I'm looking
opens up the
for.
world to options things. So I mean, we can't live off of $25,000 a year yet, like Mr. Money Mustache does. But one of the things you notice when you look at his house or his budget for the year that they did that is they have no mortgage interest or payment on their house. So it's $25,000 a year plus a house payment, and all that includes looks more like 40 or 45 when you add it in. So
yeah, because our house payment is $1,600. So 1,600 times 12,
20,000.
Yeah, 20,000 a year. I mean, and it's just our money when I don't have to pay the house.
Yep.
Yeah, I can't wait for that day.
So when you get to that point and your house is paid off, you have two choices. You could either take a job that pays $20,000 less, or for some people, a whole salary could stop.
Yeah.
Or you can continue to work that job and have an extra $20,000 to buy options with for yourself.
Yeah.
So otherwise, you're just going to continue to make that money, and it's going to continue to go towards your house. So some people will argue that keeping the mortgage creates more options than not.
Really?
Just because it's only $1,600 a month that I'm putting towards the house. Whereas if you were to accelerate that and pay it off early, or let's say that you go out and you refinance and you get a 30-year now, that would free up $800 a month that you could put into cash or put into other investments. So that's the argument that some people make.
Wow.
We don't hold to that. We hold to pay off your mortgage.
Yeah.
Not at the expense of everything else. Have retirement investing and emergency fund and stuff like that. But we feel like being free from those payments will create more options from you than stretching out that payment for the next. I mean, there are 50-year mortgages that you could go out and get right now.
That's what people were recommending to us before we bought. I was like, sounds a little long.
Yeah, because the rate would be even lower. I mean, I could probably get into the 1 point something range with a 50-year mortgage.
The bank would makes a lot of money off that. I mean, for 50 years, for another 20 more years at 1%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you think, I mean, we've talked about it before. With the rate that I had, $190,000 mortgage cost me $175,000 in interest.
Right.
So you stretch that out another 20 years, and that $250,000 house now looks like a $600,000 or a $700,000 house. So, we talked about it was only a couple episodes ago that we talked about why your house isn't an investment anyways.
Yeah.
Because you sell it and you have to go buy another place to live or pay rent or something like that anyways. Yeah. So.
Cool. Options. Yeah. I just know for me is what we were talking about last week. It's like you can fail at a job you hate, so might as well just go out on your own, do something that you don't hate as much, and try it there, and be free,
Yeah, I think you and I were both in the position where we were debt free when we started our businesses. So think of if you had 17,000 or 20,000 or $50,000
we had 50,000
at this point, and you came home and told Janie, I want to get rid of my job and start a daycare from the house.
She's like, no, you're not.
Yeah. And I didn't have debt, but I still had a house payment and other expenses and stuff, and just having that house payment was one of the terrifying things that kept me up for that first year.
It was harder for you because you were the breadwinner too.
Sole source of income for us. And I was looking into. We never went late on a payment, thankfully. But I was looking into those deferment programs and things like that. Instead, I took out of retirement funds to support us for that first year. But yeah, that's one of those cases of you have options, and so now you can start your own job and live your own life. People who maybe don't need as many options, somebody who's single or doesn't have kids or doesn't have a house or something like that, they've got more or they don't need as many options because they don't have as many requirements or restraints on them.
Right.
Demanding that they bring home a certain number, a certain amount of money each month. So,
it was depressing because I was talking to my neighbor, and I was like, "How you doing, man?" And he was like, "Oh, just working 6 days a week." I was like, "Man, I don't know how you do it." He's like, "Well, that mailman keeps bringing me bills." It's like, oh, that sounds so depressing.
And that's just what we tend to do is we start off our life very free from the time we're out of our parents' home and we're on our own. We start off with we talked about it before, like that first job.
Yeah.
When your monthly expenses were like $100 a month.
Yeah. You feel like Richie Rich bringing home $500 a month or whatever.
Yeah. All I had to pay was gas and a cell phone or something like that. And I have $400 left to spend on myself.
Yeah.
But what we do is we get into jobs and we create for ourselves less options by becoming more dependent on certain lifestyles, more things that pull out of our bank account every single month, subscriptions, demands, commitments, things like that. And we end up having less options. And so this is kind of a reversal back to that when, you bring home $1,000 and it's like, this $1,000 is mine and I can do what I want with it. Hadoken!